connect you to. Right.
Wonderful.
Great.
Thank you very much. Okay, over to you, Kerry. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited. And to further that, we had a little trouble with recording this morning. So the great thing about inventing is that you don't need to be technology savvy at all. I was not tech savvy at all. I had barely used a computer in my job as a costumer. So, and my sisters either. One sister was an early childhood educator, and she'd been for 35 years. Her name is Mellin. The other sister is Wendy. She'd been a chef. None of us really used computers before we decided to launch our own business. I worked in Hollywood for 35 years as a costume designer for different studios. And so I didn't really use a computer at that time. Yes, they do now. But at that time, Mellin, Wendy, and I, we didn't. And we wanted to start our business. When it comes to technology, also, I will start with a picture because people that are very technology advanced or tech savvy are creating artificial arms, but they still come to me, a mom, a woman, an inventor, a sewer who wasn't tech savvy, to get my EazyHolds to hold things with their robotic arms. You know, their $5,000 robotic arms still need an EazyHold most of the time. So I'll introduce my product. It's EazyHold, and it's made in 12 different sizes. This is the smallest one, and this fits onto something like a baby spoon or a baby toy or a stylus or a pencil, to the largest one, which is this size, really big, and it fits onto something like a cup, a flask, a baby bottle, tennis rackets, baseball bats, fishing poles, and on to a boat oar. It can fit on just about anything. They're super stretchy, and they're made of 100% food grade silicone. I wanted it to be food grade silicone because I learned that the only other cuffs on the market were made of things that are not hygienic. So how did I invent EazyHold? Well, I have horses. I've been a cowgirl my whole life, even though during the week I am a costume designer and working with fashion and shopping and sewing. It's very physical. You're on your feet for 12 hours a day and you're constantly using your hands. And then on my off time, I had horses. Same thing, very physical, working with tack, with horses, painting fences, sweeping the barn, cleaning the corrals. So one day, after a particularly difficult week sewing costumes for Ariana Grande, I think I was sewing spaghetti noodles onto a noodle costume. I'd sewn 1,000 noodles onto her costume that week. I go home to clean up my barn for an Easter party, and I couldn't even hold my broom. My thumbs were so sore. I have arthritis in my thumbs from a riding accident I had where I'd pushed my thumbs down on a fence after a horse crushed me up against the fence. So what did I do? I'm going, I need to clean this barn. I've got to clean it for the party. So I grabbed my broom and I grabbed some duct tape. And this is the actual broom that I made it. I made this loop out of duct tape and I stuck my hand in. And I didn't need to grip at all with my thumb. And it was really surprising. I'm going, wow, this is really simple and handy, no grip necessary. And I finished the job. And the whole time I'm sweeping, I'm thinking, all right, I'm a baby boomer. I was about 58 at that time. And I'm a baby boomer. What about all the other people that are going to want to continue to do the things they love? What's out there for them? So I'm thinking, what could I make that might work for this? And has it already been made? I was thinking back to when I was in my early 20s and I was trying to decide what to do. And a professor had given me that Briggs-Meyer test. And the Briggs-Meyer test discovered that I would be great in film and television. How it knew that, I don't know, but I was already making costumes for friends by that time. Right out of high school, I was making costumes. I'd, always sewed as a child. Came from a family of 5 girls. No money, so we all had a sewing machine. We made our own clothes. Then it said occupational therapy. I had no idea what occupational therapy was, so I volunteered in a local hospital, which was going to be about a month, but it turned into 1.5 years because I was so fascinated by the occupational therapist teaching people how to eat after an injury, rehabilitation after spinal cord or cerebral palsy. And at that time, they had these terrible cuffs. They were made of Velcro, elastic. They could hardly fit anything, maybe a pencil, maybe a fork. and you had to strap them tight to your hands, or they were made of wood and Velcro. You would put the object in it, and then you would hold it this way. Well, you didn't even feel the object. It was dirty. I remember trying to teach people how to eat, and it would get smashed potatoes in it, and it would get wet, and you couldn't share them between patients. So as I'm sweeping, I'm thinking back and saying to myself, there must have been something else made. My sisters come for the party later that day. We're floating in the pool. They're talking about starting a business. We're all in our late 50s. And they say, let's make that recipe for fudge. Let's make that brownie recipe. I said, gals, I had to literally strap my hand to the broom today. Why don't we come up with something for elder care? They were on board. The next day I got online looking for prior art. And they went to a Hollywood mask shop to learn how to cure, mold, pour silicone and color it. They came home with all the silicone makings. And we set out to make molds and make about, at that time, 100 different sizes of EazyHolds. Now we went around the whole house, the garden, the yard, the garage, kitchen, and we put everything we could think of on an EazyHold. We took it to a local flea market, laid it out on the table, on hammers, on paint rollers, on eating equipment, because we needed to find out who would use this besides me. This was our way of vetting our product. We let the world walk by, and that was the most fantastic day I've ever had. It was so interesting to see who came by that day. There was special education teachers at our local school district. They said, we have 6 students right now with cerebral palsy that can use this product. I handed her a handful of them to test. We had a nurse come by from a local hospital, an elder care nurse. She took them for toothbrushes. I had 2 news reporters came by. They did stories on us. And it just was a fantastic day that told me that there was painters out there that needed it with arthritis. But we did want to have some testing done with doctors, and there was no protocol for a chef, a costume designer, and an early childhood educator to get in to talk to doctors. So we went to that hospital I used to volunteer at and hid in the hallways. And when they came out for dinner or lunch, we would jump out at them and show them this product. We'd have it and we'd say, do you have anything like this? Because it fits on anything for your patients. It's a little strap. Here's a fork. End over end. And then you just slip your hand in, and it goes on anything. It's a handle you put on anything. It's actually a cuff, but we call it a handle. And every single doctor said, no, I need them right now. We could use them right now. So we left samples all over there. It has been a very interesting journey bringing this to market. And I would say that some of the difficulties we had with bringing this to market was finding silicone manufacturers in the States. We tried to find silicone. Does anybody have products that they're making out of silicone right now? You're welcome to ask me any questions in the chat, by the way. Because the silicone manufacturers here in the States are very, very expensive. And because my sisters and I all have female names, we sent out our CAD files out all over to silicone manufacturers. And I think this is just a kind of an interesting point about a female person's journey on this. We sent them out to our CAD files to about 50 different silicone manufacturers and didn't get any response, no response. We'd used my sister Marilee's name and Wendy. No responses. Like 3-4 months go by. And we just say to ourselves, let's put Marilee's husband's name on. We put Jeff on, Jeff Mellin. And then we got responses back immediately. So it kind of told us something about going forward, about how we need to approach people. This was 7 years ago. Maybe things have changed since the Me Too movement or whatever. But at that time, 7 years ago, as females designing a product, we knew that we had to include a male name on our emails out to manufacturers, to all of the people we wanted to do business, to CAD file drawers, everything. And anyway, that was just a little aside. How did we finally we did find a manufacturer, but we had to go to China to do this because we just could not afford the prices here in the States. They wanted about $6 a strap. We were, however, very worried about going to China on our own. We don't speak the language, of course. So we found a local manufacturer to be our liaison. And that has worked out to be extremely beneficial. Why are silicone manufacturers so expensive in the US? Thank you. I'll answer that question now. I like to answer questions as we go because I don't know what you are interested in, where you are in your journey. Silicone is expensive, and we have a lot of rules and regulations here in the States for the making of the process, keeping it really clean, FDA approved, and also just the labor. It's also a slow process. This is injection molded. So the plates come with just, for instance, this metal plate would maybe have 12 molds in it and 12 molds only. And silicone takes a long time to cure, injection molded silicone. Maybe the smaller ones will have a plate of about 24. So the process is laborious, and the softer the silicone is, the longer it takes to cure. So, and then you need it in a very clean environment. So all of those things here in the States make it way more expensive. Now, there are plenty of silicone plants, but we needed to make only 1,000 of each of those because we were bootstrapped. We were self-funded. You know, I remember thinking, my hands are wearing out. I haven't saved any money in Hollywood. It's a ditch digging job. You make an hourly wage. You only get rich if you are an above the liner, a producer, a director, an actor. You don't get rich as a costumer. So here I am in my 50s, and I do not have that $1 million in the bank, or maybe 2 or 3 that we need now. So I had $6,000. Wendy had $6,000. Marilee had $6,000. That's what we put in to start our company. You know, that's it. We started with that. And with that, we had to get our patents, our trademarks, our licenses, do our prototyping, start our little business, you know, but it can be done with that amount of money. So the silicone manufacturing was so expensive here, but we did decide to not go directly. We found a liaison here, and that turned out to be an amazing benefit to us. Hercules OM, they had made rings and things for automobiles, but we went to them and they would source it because they already had contacts there. And we never once had to turn down a shipment of bad EazyHolds or bad silicone cuffs. They took that responsibility. We paid a high price, but we avoided what sometimes sinks companies, what often sinks companies, that bad shipment of product. We decided to pay, 15, 20 cents more a strap so that they took responsibility for it. And so we never, ever had one bad shipment. And that's how we were able to really progress and develop a good relationship with our customers. So who are our customers? I thought our customers were going to be, old people with arthritis, stroke, Parkinson. But as soon as we started advertising, who really became interested is parents with children with special needs, because that's a massive marketplace for any inventor. You know that it's children, dogs, food, I guess, Every child can be born now, and fortunately, they can live productively with modern technology, but there's still so many physical and hand disabilities. So that's how we decided to go, because you need to pick your market for your product. We decided to delve right into children's products and really spread it wide on social media. And so that is things like baby bottles, toothbrushes, spoons, forks, simple things that children need. Now, we didn't know why we were getting so much orders for children, but then the photos started coming in. So I'm going to show you a little photo. There's a very large limb loss community. I mean, they're called Lucky Fins, a limb loss community that is massive, who need to, write, eat, ride a bicycle, play with a toy. And as I mentioned, in that limb loss community, there are these still robotic arms, but they more often than not, they still need an EazyHold. Here's a little girl who's simply eating her yogurt. We get a video or of photos every single day of kids eating. This little girl has cerebral palsy. She can play a violin bow with an EazyHold. This boy has no fingers on his left hand. He is competing with bike riding. We have children able to play music. We just went to a huge NAMM convention. We were invited to the National Association of Music Merchants to have the first adaptive cuff booth there for adaptive musical equipment. They had not ever explored that before, and now they're going to put together a whole adaptive pavilion. This is an expo that draws 150,000 musicians and special educators. And so it goes on and on. Here's a child with drums. Let's see now. What are there any questions right now before I move ahead about what your interest level is or where your direction that you like to go in the inventing process? Go ahead, Harry.
Listen, I was just thinking, it's the whole time you were talking, I've actually got a whole bunch of questions.
Yeah, great.
First, like you mentioned, you came up with the idea, you sort of like slogged around in your head, you went thinking, you tried to get sleep, and I don't even know about it. There's an inventing method used by, from Thomas Edison, Tesla, to Einstein. Wherever these ideas people, they actually used to, there's this little technique that you find whereby you spend 10 to 15 minutes thinking, you just focus on this before you go to sleep. And your subconscious mind is incredibly powerful. It will come up with answers that you wouldn't think of in a conscious mind. Not many people know that. It's an amazing.
I'll expand on that too, because whenever in my journey, because I'd never been a businesswoman and I had to have this business, whenever in my journey I was stumped, I did not think hard. I went and got on my horse. I went out and did something. Or if there's something I couldn't come up with, a good word, I would stop thinking about it. And I would say to myself, ponies and rainbows, ponies and rainbows. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you think of your two favorite things and your mind is working on it. So my best tip to people starting a business or getting in that mind block is to go do something you love. And all of a sudden, all of these ideas flood into your head when you're not thinking about trying to come up with an idea. Yeah. And another thing on that same point is, for me, finding your passion. My passion was horses, and I knew I needed to continue. I wanted to continue, no matter what kind of disabilities I have, continue riding, to continue taking care of my horses. That's why this was so, that's why it became easy to me, because it was a passion. And so now it's so easy to bring a product to market that every single one of you, dudes, Rob, Michelle, Gavin, Nicholas, Jose, Harry, you can think of your favorite thing that you love to do, and you can improve upon it, because invention and innovation it's not coming up with a new product. It's a melding of an old idea and a new idea. That's innovation. So for me, silicone had only been used in kitchens for about maybe 15 years or so. So when I learned that these cups were the only thing still being used, I'm thinking, oh my God, just make these cups really simple in this new material. And all of a sudden it's a new invention, but it's really just an old idea with new materials. Yeah, go ahead, Nicholas.
Sorry.
Oh, Harry.
Sorry.
At the end of the day, we have got manufacturers here in South Africa. Our currency to America is relatively cheap. I know guys down up the road in Springs who do silicone. These guys might, I don't know if you want to try.
Yeah, absolutely. Except that here's the problem. I was talking to Celeste about it. South Africa is so difficult for us to even send product to. We don't even have a South African distributor as yet. Every time we've tried to mail anything to South Africa, it doesn't get there. She's given me some tips and we're going to look into it. But I don't know if I, at this point, would be comfortable getting product from South Africa.
Okay, and one final other thing. This is something that, I sort of when you started playing with it, I realized, how do you easily change things?
I'll show you.
Have you realized what you could be doing? What if you made one that could strap on, but internally had 2 powerful magnets? So imagine you had your fork or your pen. All you do is come along and sticks to it. And then if you want to change it, you put your hand down on it, push the other one, pull it off, and stick to the next string, and you go to the next one.
That's a really interesting idea. That's a super interesting idea.
Right.
Yeah. I think that, part of I don't know. We'd have to experiment with that. Not everything we use, of course, is metal. We have wooden toys. In fact, I'm going to show you the 10 most popular items. So the fork is probably #1 item because everybody needs to eat, whether you have Parkinson's, cerebral palsy, stroke, limb loss, ALS, carpal tunnel system. There are a million diseases and ailments that require a grip. And so from people asking us about tools, mechanics working on their cars, on their boats, in outer space, all kinds of tools. Styluses for writing and pens and pencils. Paintbrushes are another really popular one. The second most popular is toothbrushes. People have a really hard time holding on to their toothbrushes for 3 minutes. And then remotes, we always ask for remotes or phones or gamers, baby bottles and flasks. So these are the most, and then makeup brushes, believe it or not, makeup brushes and makeup pencils. These are the things that people really want to use. A little magnet, maybe. I'll look into it. You should too.
Yours, just as a thought, I mean, like while you're eating, change your implement from a spoon to a fork or knife. You can do it.
Yeah, I like. Hi, Kenneth. And Kenneth or Nicholas, I think, had a question.
Nick, did you have something to say? After Nick came.
Nicholas?
Yeah. Kerry, I'm a great believer in when you're in the throes of inventing, from when you plant the seed, is to make a workable, no matter how crude, image. And it's quite, I've found it's shattering how that thing changes within as little as a week. And the more you look at it and play with it, suddenly you're saying that original idea was great, but the real idea is much better, and it just starts sprouting like a tree. And I just think I've always advocated that you make something and it becomes part of you. You see it every day, you look at it, you hold it, and the thought processes, and I agree with what Harry says, the subconscious is just unbelievable. All these things start flowing in.
Absolutely. And I'll expand on that. Working in Hollywood for 35 years, I have unlimited money and unlimited resources. So when they say make a monster costume, I go to Lowe's. I am trucking through there. I never look at a price. My cart is filled with stuff that I can make that costume. I go to Joann's Fabrics. I fill it. I mean, I'm working as fast and furious. And the costume will be great. It will be wonderful. But when I'm working for those small companies that didn't have a lot of money, not Nickelodeon, just like a small company, that is where the really cool costumes come. That's when I have to really just think hard and say, I need to innovate. I don't have any money. And every time I've had to make something with nothing, it's so much better. It's just, so the idea of needing to have a lot of money to bring creations to life is an absolute fallacy. The best movies are made when you steal that scene, on a pier that you didn't have all the money to rent the pier and rent the whirlybird or whatever it is, or the train. If you don't have to rent those things, then you have to use your imagination. So I love that idea. Just draw it or make a crude prototype and think about it and look around and see how you can improve upon it.
Ken, do you want to go ahead?
Thank you. Just a quickie, you were talking about the difficulty with silicone. I don't know whether it's any help, but there's a material called TPE, which is a silicon-like moldable rubber, TPE.
PPE.
And it's excellent injection molding material. It can be soft and kind of tactile like silicon. Worth looking at.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So we chose silicone, and I'm going to look into that TPE to see what properties it has. What I love about the silicone, of course, is that it's slightly sticky and tactile, so it doesn't need to be tight on the hand, because nobody wants to wear something tight on the hand. It can be very loose, so it can be taken off if necessary, but stay sticky. And then, of course, the really important part that has made us now in 20,000 hospitals and care facilities is that it can go right into an autoclave or a dishwasher or a washing machine at super high temperatures. And so it gets clean. Also, 100% silicone doesn't harbor any bacteria. It doesn't grow any bacteria. It's also hypoallergenic to all kinds of skin. So I know other elastomers will melt, they will warp, they will break. They are not hyperallergenic, and you can't put them in an autoclave or a hot dishwasher. But we're definitely looking for other polymers that, like for instance, Lowe's, we want a Making It with Lowe's contest. Do you guys have Lowe's stores near you? It's hardware stores. So they actually, Making It with Lowe's with the Shark Tank executives, we're looking for new interesting products, and about 1,200 people sent their products in. We made it to top 5. We did not make it to number 1. The number 1 was something called a deer drag. A deer drag. It's like when you kill a deer and then you want to drag it and eat it, or it's also used for lumber, or it's a real manly item, and it fits in well with Lowe's hardware stores, because Lowe's is the biggest chain of hardware stores, you know, that for building, house building,
You've
and
probably
everything.
got the equivalent here of builders, or
Yeah.
you know, we do have some equivalents, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like the huge warehouse store, you know, like Home Depot. But they did this, they wanted to get new products. And so they also wanted to open up an accessible home department for accessible homes, grab rails, you know, things for wheelchairs, all kinds of things like that. So I didn't win the contest, but I did win a $5,000 grant. I won a 2-hour teachings with the Shark Tank execs. And then they called me right after I didn't win and said, we want you in our stores anyway. So they put us on their accessible home department online. They said we could go into their stores, but I just don't think my product is right for the stores. I did, however, make a large size Home Depot blue for paint brushes and everything like that, which we sell on their website. This goes great on paint rollers, paint brushes, men's tools, things like that.
Kerry?
Yeah. Yes, Kenneth.
We have a Walmart subsidiary here.
Yeah.
Called Massmart. Walmart have a fairly big holding in it, and it's hardware stores. You know, like Celeste mentioned, builders stores like Home Depot, furniture, you name it. It's a large retailer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a thought there. There is a way into South Africa. It might be through Walmart.
We are just now getting our product listed on Walmart. And the interesting thing about Walmart, Kenneth, is that it's the biggest, it's bigger than Amazon, evidently. I didn't realize this, but everyone thinks Amazon's the biggest, and it is bigger than Amazon. So we're thinking about putting our product on there. And I believe we sell through like the third party at Walmart. When I was at this convention last week, a Walmart executive came by our booth and said, I think you guys really need to up your game and get this listed in Walmart. They asked me how I was doing on Amazon. We're a bestseller on Amazon. Amazon loves us. I don't know if does anybody have a product right now that they are selling on any of these platforms? Oh, you do. Michelle, what is your product? Hi, Michelle.
Hi, my product is Glide Mats, and we're on Amazon, Walmart.com, and a few other e-commerce sites.
Oh,
can you hear me okay?
I can. A Glide Mat, is that something that for furniture moving or?
It's for applying, and you can use it underneath stand mixers, things on the countertop in the kitchen. It's a heat resistant mat. So instead of the tray that's thicker and takes up a lot of room, that goes on the counter that you can put your coffee maker, whatever. It's
Yeah.
a heat resistant material that you can slide your appliance all over the countertop and just makes it easier. And we have a lot of, I'm listening to how you're helping people, and we have a lot of people who have issues. Maybe they have, some issues with the arms or the shoulders, that it makes it easier for their mobility to move these things around. So I love your product. I absolutely love it.
That's great. You definitely start marketing it too. I could send you, Michelle, a list of the distributors we use for disability products if you'd like that. And you can reach out to them.
I would appreciate that. We're connected. I just checked. We're connected on LinkedIn. I'll send you a message. Thank you so much.
I'll leave everybody my email so you can reach out to me. On that thing you sell on Amazon, I do want to, there's a couple exciting things, that have happened. Amazon loves small businesses, and they love woman-owned businesses, and they love people of color on small businesses or marginalized communities. One thing Amazon does that it's kind of weird and tricky though, and I don't know about Amazon South Africa, but Amazon US, they try and reach small businesses all the time. They send out these funky little emails that you don't even know who they're coming from. You can't even tell if it's really Amazon, but I always took a chance and I answered every one of those emails. And thank God I did, because they even though they come from one individual in one department, whether it's the public policy, whether it's the marketing or whatever, they really are a human being wanting to form connections. I have a very warm, fuzzy feeling about Amazon. I know it's crazy, but they've been so good to us. They reached out to us in a weird letter saying, do you want to join in this, top business of 2019? Here's what you need to do. Tell us your blah, blah, blah story. It looked so weird. I didn't answer it for 2 weeks. I finally did, because this contest made us top 6 woman-owned business of 2019, this one contest, and which gave us so much publicity. And then, they did things like, am I interested in talking to senators? I've gone to the Capitol. I've met with my local congressman at a warehouse just last week. They shuffled me through the whole warehouse and taught us how it was done. I've spoken with our congresspeople now 4 or 5 times. This tight relationship with Amazon has been invaluable, because they have knocked products off that are similar to mine because of my relationship with them, my fuzzy, warm relationship with them. So always answer everything. Oh, and I want to get one thing in. I want to answer more questions because I really want to hear what your things are. But there's one thing that for products that has been invaluable for me, and it's called HARO, HARO, helpareporterout.com. It can make you an expert in your field. You get sent, you sign up as just a person, not a reporter, but as a person who has an interesting ideas. Whatever it is, if you're a doctor, if you're an inventor, if you're a mom, whatever, every day you get a list of like 50 reporters looking for a story. They might say, are you a marketing executive? Do you know about this? Do you have a company? Do you have a new product? I have gotten so much good publicity from answering these pitches. It's like a pitch. So every day I get morning, noon, and night, a HARO list of reporters. And whenever I have time, I try and answer them. I've gotten in forums, Huntington Post. I've gotten in books. I'm in several books from this. It's a great resource for inventors and people who love to write about their product and pitch ideas. And it's a great resource for thinkers.
Kerry, I shall certainly follow through on that. Really,
Yeah.
I shall.
Yeah.
Gavin,
Hi,
do you want to
Gavin.
go ahead with...
Hi, Kerry. Thanks a lot. First of all, Michelle, I need your product. I've got an air fryer that I'm very worried about putting on the table, and I think I need some kind of surface between it to kind of protect it. So that sounds.
How much is your product, Michelle?
Thank you.
How much is your product?
I'm sorry. It depends on where you get it. Some packs are packs, some are 3. It's around $20 for a 3-pack on Amazon. I'm sorry,
Okay.
We've got a rescue here, and she's she's trying to talk to everyone. She's.
You know what? I just learned something really interesting about QVC. Also, is anybody interested in QVC? Do you know what QVC is?
Yeah, I was on, mine was on QVC too.
Oh, it was. Okay, because I know that there's a QVC that they have accessible home now, specifically for products with, and I did not know this, specifically for products for people with disabilities. So I was so excited when I heard that.
I wish that was one of the things I wanted to reach out to you and suggest, because your product would be fantastic on QVC.
I'll probably need a little help with that, because I just about a week ago watched a webcast from a QVC, like a broker guy, because I guess you can only pitch to QVC like a couple months out of the year, but through him, he'll pitch 24/7, all 12 months. Michelle, yes, let's connect.
I think another person to speak to is Marcy McKenna. She's a specialist in QVC.
Yeah, that's right.
Marcy.
Yeah, I did a broadcast with Marcy. Another thing that's another thing that's really interesting that I'm doing, I fly tonight to Kansas City, Missouri, because there's a Occupational Therapists Association conference, which I'm going to be speaking at, and then I'm going to have a booth there as well. And then I go directly from Kansas City, Missouri. This is really fun and exciting. The US Patent Office invited me, this tiny little crazy item, to speak to all of the US patent offices in a web broadcast on how to bring a product from A to Z. And it's such a simple little item, but the US Patent Office wants me to come and talk about it, which is huge, not only because I'm going to be excited and I get to tour the patent office in Silicon Valley, but also because I want to use that and put it on my website, that I'm this tight with the patent office in case anybody tries to rip me off.
So Kerry, can I ask you two questions?
Yeah.
One is that you can discuss a little bit. One is your patent status on your product.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one is more directed at, why did you not license this idea? It seems to be a perfect idea for licensing, but you chose to go and venture. You chose to do it yourself.
Yeah, I love those two questions. So the patent process was really interesting. I hope I have time because I love this. This is so interesting. When we wanted to patent it, all I had was a simple little drawing. And my one sister is an artist as well as a chef. So she did some rudimentary drawings of it. And so we started looking for patent attorneys, and we got recommendations from people. And of course, as evidenced by this picture in front of me, there's two women and several men, that there aren't a lot of female patent attorneys. So the top ones were about 5 men. We kept taking our product to the patent attorneys and saying, look what we've got. Isn't it amazing? Look at what it can do. And they're like going, I don't really see it. No, it's too simple. What? Who's going to use it? But they don't see it. I mean, all 5 of them are like, we could do it, but it'd be expensive. And I don't think you're going to get anything out of it. And we're going, look, I need this. We all can see how relevant it is, and so let's try one more. I sourced a female patent attorney, and she wasn't too far from me, like 2 hours away. We walked in, and she worked out of her home as a female because she had kids. We walked in and she took one look at it and said, oh my God, I have a child with ADHD that could use it. And my mom's got Parkinson. And then she said, and I used to work for the silicone manufacturing company, defending people with breast implants or something like that, defending the silicone manufacturers. She saw that relevance immediately and was so excited to get started. And that made all the difference. So hunting for a patent attorney that has the excitement you do or is in your wheelhouse is invaluable, because I kept hearing horror stories about how much it would cost me to get a patent. And I wanted a utility and a design patent. It was like under $10,000 for both of them. And it's because she worked for us. She could see that her mom is going to benefit. Her kid is going to benefit. She felt like a sister to us in a way. Like we were 5 girls. I felt like I had another sister in a way. So that's really important, to find someone who understands your product and is excited about it. Not only will it save you money, but then you'll have a lifelong relationship. And I still, 7 years later, we're still in touch and we still talk. And she still sends out an occasional scare letter about our patent. And then the other one was, why didn't I license it? I did initially look into, I think at first I didn't know about licensing, really. I didn't know about it. But even when I found out, and then you could get a few cents each, and even though once I did this, I realized I have ideas all day long about how to improve everything I use, like all of us do. We're all those kind of people that say, oh my God, I could do that better. But I got trapped. I fell in love, because immediately when you wake up and you have a picture sent to you with a little boy that has no hands and he's a drummer now, you don't just license it. You can't. I mean, I get videos where there are kids with just tiny little, they call them flippers. It's like one thumb on each shoulder, and they're eating and laughing with EazyHold. I get a video of Michael, who is a cosmetologist with one tiny hand, and he wanted to get his cosmetologist license. And EazyHold, he could hold his I'll show you. He could hold his grooming tool and then the blow dryer with the other hand, and he got his cosmetology license with an EazyHold. So these stories are so compelling to me. The work is hard, the hurdles are high, the hurdles never stop. But when you're doing something that makes a difference and that you love, and you get this responses every day, it's addicting, totally. And my son, so I had two sisters and they were my business partners. They've since retired. They didn't have as much passion as I did. And they're like 5 or 6 years older. So they're retired, and my son and daughter-in-law bought the business. Now, my son is a set decorator for Hollywood. He's been doing it since he was 17. He got in the union. He's 35 now. And so he's working for them, and he makes pretty good money, and it's a great career, but he fell in love with EazyHold. And now he's working on EazyHold. He bought in. He took all his savings and he bought my sister's half of EazyHold. So it's addicting and exciting. And you travel around and you see the lives you change from a simple product. And I suggest simple products. Go, Kenneth.
Yeah, I just have to say goodbye because I've got an appointment. But I was curious to know, when you started exhibiting your idea, let's say, not the product, did you have a provisional patent at that stage?
Yeah, we got a provisional patent right away. It cost about $150. So we did get that right away. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And when we went to get our patent, we had to change the claims quite a bit, because there were things that they kept saying were too similar, like the rings that go around soda pop cans, Coke cans, or the rings that go on those 2-liter pop bottles or whatever. They're flat rings, but and so we had to just keep proving that it was very different. It took us but it didn't take us a long time. It took us only about 18 months to get our first patent. It was fast. Boom, they gave it to us really fast.
I'm just going to say goodbye right now, and thank you very much for your time, and I'll let the meeting carry on without me.
Thank you, Kenneth. I'm going to leave my email address so anybody can contact me, and we can share stories, and I can get some more info about that TPE, Kenneth. Thank you.
Cheers.
Go ahead, Gavin.
Kerry, sorry, I kind of started with one. I got waylaid with Michelle's CLUBNight, but what I wanted to say is that what I like about your product so much is its simplicity. It's really simple. Even if you look at your original prototype, like, it's not that different to your kind of broomstick with the thing on. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same.
Exactly.
Silicone instead. And what's so nice is that, and I think this is the success of it, is that, you show one picture of a kid holding a toothbrush or a drum, and you can see exactly how the product works, when you would use it, who would need to use it, the functional use case. Like, you don't need words, you don't need a video. One picture just explains everything, and I think that's the beauty of it. That's why it works so well, and that's why the patent office has asked you to talk, and that's why, because there's very few products that meet those criteria, where you literally hold up a photo and everyone gets everything in one quick go, which is amazing.
You hit something on the head that's really important for inventors to know, and that is the principles of universal design. And if all of you are inventors, so you might know that terminology already, but look up what universal design means. And the 7 principles of universal design, off the top of my head, I'm going to just say them, and I probably won't remember all of them, but it can be used by right and left hand. It can be used by people of all ages, colors, creeds, nationality. It doesn't change From the minute you buy it to every time you use it, it stays the same. It is predictable and it doesn't take a large learning curve. There's a few more that'll come to me, ponies and rainbows. But anyway, UNICEF reached out to us last month to do a broadcast with them and their suppliers and purchasers about our product because it fits these 7 principles. And that is a great way to design products, is so that everyone can use it. It's instantly understandable. It doesn't change, and it's reliable. You know, those principles will work well for products across, whether it's for the house, for your sports, for gardening. Whatever it is, those 7 principles are really important principles for designers, inventors, innovators to know.
Sorry, Kerry, I think that's fantastic input. The downside, I think, of that is that it becomes, because it's so simple, it's really easy to copy. I mean, I would imagine that a Chinese manufacturer can literally see what you've done, knock it off in 2 seconds flat, stick it on Amazon or anywhere. I mean, how do you stop that? How do you protect yourself?
Okay, so that's a really good question, because quieting the naysayers has always been something from day one. People said it's too simple, it'll get knocked off, from the patent attorneys to every friend to everybody. So that's where branding comes in. That's where doing your due diligence. Branding is more important than marketing or selling, in a way, in the beginning. You really have to brand and find your community and have them trust you. Also, you get it up, you design it, you get it out fast. I designed it and I had it practically on the shelf or e-commerce in about 1 year. And then you go back to, like what I was telling Michelle, you develop, and she probably knows, you develop a great relationship with your distributors. You tell them they have patents. You tell Amazon you've got your patents. Amazon has a place for brand owners. You put your patents in, you put your trademarks in, you develop a good relationship. Amazon has winked to me in person at these places I go to when I say, you guys are watching out for us, aren't you? And they say, we watch out for everybody. But they wink. They watch out for me because after 7 years of selling product, and our feedback is A1, 5-star feedback, they watch out for people. They've knocked 3 people off, 1 for trademark infringement, 1 for making a product that looked like ours. The product was slightly different, but the way they advertise it on Amazon looks just like ours. So Amazon knocks it off. You develop good relationships with your community. That's number 1, is that branding. Having a product that's really good. Also, for places like schools and therapy centers, they're more invested in the quality of the product, and then having, they have to fill out vendor information. And once you're in their system, they're not going to go looking around for cheaper knockoff products. They're just not. They're going to look for that quality and that relationship. So here I am 7 years later, nobody else is selling it in the States. And that's because I've done my due diligence. Now, I will say that my sister Marilee, who was the money and person, she did not like that I spent all this time on Haro, help a reporter out, on reaching on video chats, on doing things like this, on reaching out to people, customers, making this relationship. But that is what kept us from being knocked off, making us visible. We're a family business. We are tight with our customers. The patent office knows me. The Amazon knows me. I'm best friends with the Amazon executives. You know, we opened up, they sent a whole film crew here to my backyard where I have my horses from New York. They sent craft service, hair, makeup. They did a whole beautiful video. I didn't know what they were going to do with it. Then they invited me to their Seattle, Washington conference, which is massive, to all the executives. And it turns out they played my video at their key opening speech. I mean, I was floored. We don't make the millions of dollars. But they call us a strategic partner. So that's what you want to be, strategic partners for all of your distributors, for all of these places. You become a strategic partner. You keep in touch. You send photos. You ask how their children are. You develop relationships. You use all the estrogen you have to be friendly, and you enjoy it. You enjoy it.
Kerry, to go back a little bit into your talk, you were at a trade show and a teacher came past or a doctor came past and you were giving away items.
Yeah.
We've got a question in chat from Jose. Could you talk about your first sale?
My first sale, yes, my first sale was for Children's Hospital. A mom of a kid saw our product. I almost remember her name. It was a really exotic name. I think she was Filipino. Dudes, she was like the Filipino and this gorgeous, long, exotic name. And she bought, first we saw like $150 worth of EazyHolds. And then 2 days later, $300 of EazyHolds. And then
How much
another
does one item, how much does one cost?
$14.99 for two. So you buy 2 EazyHolds for $14.99, which is a good, you know, we're doing pretty well. Silicone's expensive, but that's a good price. And we sell in multiple packs and everything, therapist pack, child pack, adult pack, it's variations. She bought in that first like week or 2 weeks about $1,000, $1,500. And it's because she fell in love with it. Her child was at Children's Hospital. She kept buying packs and passing them out all over Children's Hospital. So that's how we knew that it was just going to be really important for caregiving for kids. It was very exciting. And it was a lot of fun to open up the Shopify store and you know, we developed a buzz on social media with parents of children with special needs. But then when you hear that ping, 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 you're selling, it's very addicting. Michelle knows. Yes.
I think my question is, did your first sale, did it come out of an injection mold, or did you make it yourself, or did you make a cheaper version, or did you go all in and then you kind of did your marketing and then
all in? Yeah, we went all in. We handed out thousands of prototypes. My sisters and I made thousands of prototypes in our kitchen. Over a 2-week period, we did not stop. It was my hiatus from my show, and we just were cranking out. And they were, you know, making silicone at home. There's little bubbles in it. It's softer. It's breakable. They're completely doable as wonderful prototypes, and they do everything you need. But I would never in a million years sell them. We did take them to the trade shows. We didn't sell them. We handed them out to teachers, parents, whoever needed them. But we went all in and made beautiful product. And the cool part is we never had to worry. We pack on our own too. We still pack on our own. My sister packs on her own. She bought out, but she still likes to come and pack. And that means every single EazyHold that goes into pack, we're looking at. If there's one fleck of dirt on it or one discoloration, it gets given away. So our product is pristine. It's pristine.
So you handed out prototypes. You made prototypes.
Yeah.
Before you invested in an injection mold, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Before we handed out prototypes all over, before we had them made in China. We were still sourcing. Like I said, it took us a long time to find someone who wanted to work with a female. First of all, we got the answers back for a male. And then when we did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, how much money did you spend on your prototypes? Because I mean, that kind of mold, I mean, I can make that mold in 2 hours less.
Yeah,
you know, I can have a prototype.
Yeah, we spent about $69. You could get a kit at the Hollywood Mass Shop, $69. We used boxes, just old boxes, and we used the spray. That was our mold. We just did the, you know, reverse molding. I used clay from Joann's Fabrics to make our little, you know, our little bones. We called them bones at the time. That's what they looked at. So we just carved these clay things and we cooked them in the oven to make them hard. And then we used those as our prototypes. And we got all the, you know, we had all the, my sister's an artist, so she had carving tools. We carved the name EazyHold in it. They were pretty rudimentary. In fact, I'll show you something. Hold on.
I find the story quite amazing. I really do.
These are my leftover handmade EazyHolds, which I shoved into one clear backpack. And I take these to trade shows and we do a guess the amount of prototypes for a free pack. There's like about, I don't know, there's like about 1,995 in here.
Like jelly beans.
Like jelly beans, exactly. Oh, somebody found the equitable use. Equitable use, flexibility in use, simple and intuitive, perceptible information, tolerance for error, that's a big one, low physical effort, size and space for approach and use. So if you follow those 7 principles for all of your hobbies or whatever it is you do, now I'm always looking at everything saying, oh my gosh, I could change this and sell this product using these principles. And then of course, because of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, there's so many companies now that are required to spend a portion of their budget on universal products or adaptive products for home, school, hospitals, care facilities, that kind of a thing. So it's always a good niche to go into for inventing products.
Kerry, can I ask you, how do you cope with the volume of your orders? You're servicing 20,000 health centers and hospitals, and then you've got schools, and then you can add and add and add. How are you coping with just sheer volume?
Surprisingly well. It's a compact item. The shipping, when it comes from China, it's packed tight, nothing breaks it. It can't get wet. It's super easy to ship. We ship in a flat pack, just in a flat pack, and just lay them on a flat pack. So they don't take up a lot of room. So definitely inventing a product that is indestructible. However, what's kind of interesting about silicone also is that it is biodegradable. It's considered a green item because it can be what do you call it? What do you call it? Yeah, what is that?
Recycled?
Recycled. It can be recycled. Silicone is a natural product that can be recycled. So that also gets you into a lot of other areas where you can get awards, you can get grants because it's a recyclable material, unlike other polymers or plastics. And so it's indestructible, lasts forever. You know, people have said, do you want to make them more, less indestructible? So, planned obsolescence, I guess it's called. And maybe if it weren't going to people with disabilities who don't have a lot of money, maybe I'd think about that. But my goal is to get them into everybody's hands and make a salary enough to live and pay my horse bill. So that's about it. We donate a lot of product to the Parkinson's Foundation, Arthritis Foundation, Cerebral Palsy Foundation, a lot of different groups around the globe. If they email me and say, I have a school with 200 children with serious disabilities, we send product, we just do.
Kerry, have you ever considered manufacturing in America and not
China? I have. It is extremely expensive. It is so expensive. It is not doable for me yet. When I say we have 20,000 hospitals we're supplied in, I am not a distributor for 20,000 hospitals, but they reach out to us and buy packs from us. So they're not, I'm not a vendor for the hospitals. They'll reach out and buy from me, and they're in 20,000 hospitals. I'm not at that place yet where I'm selling 100,000 a day. Will my company? Probably, because it's going to be in every single therapy center. But another thing was, with my sister starting it, we were careful. We all had other jobs. Most of the time, I only quit my job in 2020, my other job as a costumer. For that, almost the whole time I was working 2 jobs. And so it was slow growth because we were building that community. We were doing our branding, slow growth. We didn't go too fast. We didn't spend a lot of money. It was bootstrapped. And I think that careful planning has developed a great product. It didn't make me an instant millionaire. If I'm an instant and millionaire is a joke. It's, we need to be billionaires now to pay our bills. But I don't think I would have wanted it that way, because the journey has been the really fun part, reaching out one-on-one and developing a product that people trust. And if I'd licensed it, I wouldn't have had that. If we expanded and then we were on the hook for angel investors or whatever, or we had people in our ear telling us what we shouldn't do, it loses its fun,
Amazing. Nick, do you want to talk?
Yeah. Celeste, thanks. I've got to check out shortly, and I see you still there. So
Yeah,
you know.
I took a good chance.
And-
The conflicting messages we got, I think we're going to go out at 8 o'clock, so we're fine.
Kerry, you know, it's been absolutely fabulous. These have been touched on, but what I got out of this was the simplicity, was the incredible passion, which I can feel here in my lounge in South Africa. And a couple of things that happened to you. You talk about relationships. I think that is absolutely invaluable. And you're coming across the patent attorney is that's winning a lotto ticket, like striking gold, because I've had that happen to me in my product. So thank you for a fabulous session. I've loved every moment. And if you were talking for another 2 hours, I would listen if I didn't have it.
Don't threaten me, I will.
Nick,
Nicholas, thank you.
before you go, and you need to stop recording, so just before you go, can I hand over to you, Gavin, please, to thank Kerry? We'll stop recording and then we can carry on with a couple of questions. But if Nick has to go, he's the recording button presser. So just by way of introduction to anybody who's new, Gavin is on our executive at the CLUBNight, and he's our financial director. Thanks very much,
Nicholas,
Gavin.
also you're a musician. I just noticed now all those guitars. Music is becoming a massive part of EazyHold. The amount of music therapists that reach out to us every day, I think that that's a huge direction that we're about to go into. Have you ever been to the National Association of Music Merchants here in Los Angeles?
No.
It's an incredible, look up the NAM Foundation. It's fantastic. We have petitioned these last couple of years to get a whole adaptive pavilion in the center. And the first one we did this last year, they said, what's that? Well, NAM is supposed to be about music education, yet they had nothing for special education. So we're really excited because they came to our booth, the executives, and said, look, we get what you're saying. We're going to have an adaptive pavilion for all of this. Anyway, Nicholas, look up NAM, N-A-M-M.
I'm going to do that. Thanks.
Kerry, I'm
Cheers,
sorry to
everybody.
nag you, but you did promise a prize.
I did. Oh, yes, absolutely. A pack of EazyHold, any
So
kind.
before we close,
Yes. And so here is.
so you have
Yeah.
to ask a question. Somebody's got to win.
Yeah. So I started this business with my sisters. How many sisters did I start this business with? Okay. Anybody? Oh, go ahead, Gavin.
No. Harry, go for it, Harry.
Okay, raise your hand if you know. Anybody? Okay, Nicholas, do you know? Oh, okay. All right. Well, it seems like a lot of people know. So somebody has to say it out loud.
2 sisters.
Two. Okay, Rob, is that you? Is that? Yes, that's right. 2 sisters. So Celeste, I can't tell who it was that said it, but do you know who?
It was. I heard Harry.
Harry.
Rob, I don't know if I heard you, but I heard Harry.
All right. So definitely we'll send you a pack. Anybody that wants a pack, reach out to me. My email address is Kerry, Kerry at EazyHold.com, Kerry at EazyHold.com. So if you have any questions or you want chat or you want to become best friends on Facebook, I'm there.
I know the method of getting stuff into Westpac.
Oh, what's this pack?
Harry, we need to move on just so that we can say goodbye to Nick. We'll come back to you just now. Hold fire, please. Gavin, please say goodbye so that we can let Nick go.
Right. Thank you, Celeste, and thank you, Kerry. Yeah, not only do your sister have you got 2 sisters, but they've both got feminine names, which I didn't think would ever need to be mentioned in a story, but obviously it was very relevant.
I got other stories about female run, and we got to let Nicholas go. But if you want to hear another couple of crazy stories about women in business, I got the stories about trying to start a woman-owned business. Michelle knows.
But thank you, Kerry. I mean, as someone mentioned before, your passion is kind of just popping out of you. you mentioned you were 58, and that when you started, which means you're now probably, I don't know, somewhere in your mid-60s. I would never have thought that.
65,
I think
yeah.
with the energy that you have, I would have said you're half that age.
Oh, thank you.
And
That's
and certainly, I think that's what has pushed your business to be so successful as well. And it's also made this talk so really interesting and inspiring to listen to. I think your product is literally ticks the boxes on every front, and we've discussed it previously. And I think that's what makes it so engaging. It's not often that we have this. Often we have inventors come, these really fancy ideas that takes 3 hours to understand, and they haven't quite got it, and then they, people just don't understand what it is and how it works and who it's meant for, and you just capture that in one instant, and I think that's what's so engaging about it. And it's so simple, it kind of gives you inspiration to say, well, what other things around you can you work on that just works? I mean, yours was just, I needed to sweep the floor. My hands just saw, I did this quick hack and boom. And, next thing you know, it's this massive business that helps millions of people around the world. What else are people doing that they're just doing a quick hack for to get their stuff done? That could be the seed of the next big idea that actually helps something that makes a big difference in the world. So thank you for that inspiration. It's a really fantastic story, and we're certainly going to disseminate your story and your messages as wide as we can. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That's what fuels me.
Okay, Kerry, well, Mick, thank you very much for being the recorder tonight. And we'll say goodbye to you just under the recording, and we'll ask Kerry to stay behind if she will.
Yeah.
Cheers, Mick.
Okay. I was having a chat to you about Westpac. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to get into Westpac. They are a little bit on the difficult